The last 3 months of the year really are my favorites. I am always in such a great mood, and there are so many kind of high points in those 3 months, including my birthday, which is usually the week of Thanksgiving, that I often don't think about all of the sort of flip side of that, maybe the hardship that some people are enduring, either because of money or because of loss. So I just want to start off with us just talking about how prominent that is, how much of that you see in your work. Reverend Pressley, I'll start with you.
Oh, well, very much so. You know, I always say that Frankie Beverly and Mays tapped into their theological spirit with that song, Joy and Pain, Sunshine and Rain, because often it is that close for so many families in this season. While it's so much joy and being able to gather together, for many, there will be empty seats at the table, which will really cause, a continuation of them navigating grief for their lost loved ones. And so we take it as very important in this season to make sure that we create spaces and resources for our congregation community.
The church was always that space. And generations who had it way worse than us. All right, didn't have air conditioning, didn't have praise teams, didn't have all the fancy stuff that we have, but they had the church. And it was a place that they could come and be prayed over, hands could be laid upon them. And so now we're at another stage. And so we are embracing behavioral health and making room for development center to come in and to do sessions and to teach people about anxiety and about depression and those type of things. And then empowering them to really acknowledge that we're going through. Not just the spiritual going through. Okay, all right, but we're hearing voices, or we're struggling with depression or whatever, and that this is a safe place. All right, the body of Christ, the church, is a place where you can come, where we're setting a culture or an atmosphere where you can come.
Dr. Lockett, your work is not in the church, but it is of the church. It's inspired by the church. Talk about the things that you see in your work environment that cry out for attention this time of the year.
Absolutely. So as director of spiritual care and community affairs for the Detroit Medical Center, we see death and life simultaneously every single day, with a new mother coming in with the expectation of delivering a full-term baby, only to find out that that baby is very unlikely to survive. And being able to have that conversation with that mother and with that father, letting them know that unfortunately you're in this situation and you still have to give birth to this unborn child that would no longer be living. So that's a whole different type of grief. And then when you go down the path of the elderly community, who we expect to get to end of life when they're 80 and 90 and maybe even 100 years of age, that have come to that space. But now, as you said before, we are seeing so many people who are in that space of the 45 to 55-year-old individuals who have not been listening to their bodies. I was having a conversation with someone the other day that you have to be in touch with your tempo, because when you don't listen to your tempo, guess what? Your tempo will do whatever it wants to do. And sometimes that tempo will allow you to be taken out. So we have to really pay attention to that.
We're talking about the holidays, and that's a particularly tough time for folks. But the church always is called to this space. And because of the things that we experience as African Americans, not just in Detroit, but all over the country, the need is always there. And so the demand on the church is always kind of at a high level.
No, very much so. And I'm blessed here at Third New Hope because we have a significant amount of licensed counselors and therapists who are also members of our congregation. And as a result, we started a ministry called Seasons of Grace, which provides people an opportunity to access these counselors in order to process the grief that they're experiencing. And so we situated the month of October as our mental health awareness month. And we even had settings for our youth and children to be able to process as well, because along lines of the items of loss that Dr. Lockett mentioned, divorce, family separations are things that children are having to encounter, particularly in this holiday season, that we want to make sure that we're providing them the resource to think through and to find healthy ways to navigate the challenges in which they're experiencing.
Watch One Detroit, Thursday at 7:30 p.m.
You can find more at onedetroitpbs.org or subscribe to our social media channels and sign up for our One Detroit newsletter.